you doing? This is the RetroGR Ranting, aka Twitch. How are you? It's been a while since I've actually done a rant. What do I want to talk about now? Something I learned from the past year. Now I know it's February and 2012 is already about over a month behind us, and we are looking towards the future. At least that's what you should be doing and not dwelling on the past. But I do like to look back sometimes and think about what I learned, at least when it came to how I perceive video games over from the year 2012. What happened to me? How did I grow as a gamer? How did I evolve as a gamer? Maybe how did I devolve? Who knows? One of the things I did realize is I gradually, slowly but surely found myself drifting away from the AAA title games. Now, let me give you a quick definition of what I believe a AAA title video game is. And that's basically a game that has a lot of publicity, is well hyped, well funded, is done by a big name developer, or at least published by a big name publisher, I suppose, like Activision, like EA, etc., etc. And basically Call of Duty, Halo, anything that had a big budget, has big anticipation, is supposed to be a deal breaker. Now, there's a lot of not so AAA titles out there that are done by big name publishers as well. I'm just talking about the big boys, the well hyped, the ones that get the biggest reviews, the best reviews. Maybe warranted, maybe not, depending on what it is, you know, because sometimes I believe AAA titles end up getting much higher reviews than they probably should. A lot of people have said in the past, and sometimes I believe it myself, that if a game is pegged as AAA, you can pretty much guarantee that most big name review sites and magazines aren't going to give them anything below, I guess, an 8.5 or maybe an 8 at the very least. They're going to be in the 8.5 to 9 to 10 range just because they have the AAA title behind it. Unless if they do something to really, really screw up. Now, what else did I find over the 2012 year? I did find that I found myself drifting more towards the indie scene. You'll notice since the new year started, I've already put up a couple of indie game reviews. One of them is 30 Flights 11, and a more recent one is Dungeon Land. And I did find myself playing a lot more indie games. One, I can't argue with the fact that I am a man on a budget. I like to stretch my gaming dollar. If I can take $20 and be able to buy 3 to 4 good indie games versus spending $60 buying one AAA title that I might not enjoy, then I might do that. There are a lot of games I ended up being surprised by, some that I might have been a little more disappointed by, but ultimately, the money factor is an issue to me enjoying indie games, and the fact that most indie games have a very retro feel to it, have a very homebrew feel to it. They're not extravagant, over-the-top, 3D accelerator busting graphics. They're usually very simple graphics, or stylized graphics, like games like Torchlight 2, Don't Starve, Dead Pixel, or something like that. They're all stylized, maybe on an 8-bit, a 16-bit, like Retro City Rampage, where most titles nowadays on consoles and PCs that receive the AAA title always seem to push the boundaries of the 3D accelerated hardware. Everything has to be realistic and gritty and brown, black and gray. Horrible, muddy textures. And I personally am sick of it. And frankly, I'm seeing a lot of articles and people actually agreeing with me lately on the internet that we really got to get past this. Ooh, look at the beautiful graphics. Look at the photorealism here. Oh my God, isn't it great? If I wanted photorealistic, I would stop looking at my computer screen and I would look around my life. I just have to turn to the right or the left or look out a window. That's called photorealistic. In fact, that's called real-world realistic. How about that? I don't really get excited about realistic graphics. There was a time in my life where I was like that, where the newest and greatest technology caused me to just go crazy. Like I remember when Crysis first came out, I just went nuts over that. And I think that was probably the last, super uber next-gen graphics game I ever went completely nuts over. And probably because when I did finally get that game, it actually fried my hard drive. At least that's what I think happened. So I think that's when the whole graphics are everything part of me decided to go, you know what, graphics aren't everything. So that's one thing that I have against AAA titles. Another is the overhype of AAA titles. This is something that indie games also have over AAA, is the fact that you usually hear about an indie game through word of mouth. It's still one of those things that you find, like, if you just happen to stumble upon it on the internet or through Steam Greenlight or just happen upon it by reading a comment somewhere or a blog, or maybe your buddy at work tell you about this indie game that they heard about. It always seems more personal. It always seems like you get excited about it because you hear about it from word of mouth, even though word of mouth now takes on a completely new meaning thanks to the internet. Most of these games are basically like, tell your friends about us. Call of Duty ain't gonna be like, come out with a commercial going, hey, the next Call of Duty's coming out, make sure you tell your friends. You don't need to. Everyone knows about Call of Duty. Everyone knows about Halo. Not everyone knows about Don't Starve. Not everyone knows about Face Puncher. Granted, it's a lot easier to find these titles nowadays than it used to be, thanks to Steam Greenlight and YouTube channels like Indie Spotlight and stuff like that. So yeah, they are slightly easier to find than back in the day, but again, most of these indie games, since there are so many of them compared to AAA titles, it just seems more like a diamond in the rough when one of these games that you discovered early on ends up being that big gem. And I'm gonna admit something right now. Just because it's an indie game doesn't instantly mean it's gonna be good. There are a lot of indie games that I've bought in the past that I've been slightly disappointed with. But here's an example here. At least if I'm paying $5 for an indie game like, say, Home, which was an experience that I was kind of disappointed with at the end of the game. Or McPixel, for instance, which was the first Steam Greenlight, which I think a lot of people bought because it was the very first Steam Greenlight game. Again, kind of disappointed with it, but I didn't pay that much money for it. I think I paid less than $5 for both of those games. And ultimately, even though I was slightly disappointed with those games, I didn't really feel like I was cheated out of anything. So I was out $5, $3, $10, $20. At least I was giving money to an indie developer instead of a big name publisher or developer. Like, for instance, the big example, the thing that really shifted me last year was when the game Dishonored came out. Now, let me put a big asterisk here. I am not saying Dishonored was a bad game. In fact, it was a good game, and it wasn't necessarily a game up my alley. In fact, I was extremely disappointed with Dishonored, but I gave into the hype. Now, I don't know if you'll call Dishonored one of those AAA titles, but like I said, there was a lot of hype around it, and I did get a lot of pretty good reviews. Maybe not the same caliber as the Halos and the Call of Duties and the Uncharteds and the God of Wars, but it still got a pretty decent amount of hype. And I gave into it. I watched reviews and I watched people playing it on live stream, said the game was awesome, so I did it. I decided to cash in my game money and buy it for $60 new, which honestly, I vowed afterwards I would never do that again. Now, I'm not saying that I'm never going to buy a AAA title again. I'm just saying I'm not going to buy it new again. I'm going to wait for a Steam deal. But ultimately, the art style just wasn't up my alley. The gameplay, I just never was riveting. I tried on so many occasions to try and like that game, but every time I played it, I found myself being bored or frustrated. And I'm not going to go into how much I didn't like the game, because honestly, it was a good game. It just wasn't the kind of game I was expecting it to be. It wasn't the stealth-based game that I thought I would enjoy. Now, flash forward about another month, I put some money down on a game called Mark of the Ninja, which is another indie title, a 2D ninja stealth-based title. Now that I enjoyed thoroughly, and again, I didn't spend $60 on it. I think I spent probably less than 10 on that one too. And I ended up finding myself enjoying that immensely more. And I enjoyed the art style more, the gameplay more, the story more. And again, it was an indie title. Now, I'm not completely against AAA title. I just learned my lesson. I'm not going to be paying $60 right off the bat. I'm going to sit on it for a while. I'm going to make sure the AAA title is worth it, and even after that, I'll probably still wait for a Steam deal. I just found myself shifting purpose. Graphics don't mean anything to me anymore. A game can have completely horrible graphics and still have some great gameplay. Look at the indie scene for that. 2, a price tag. I'm not made of money. Back when I was in college or living on my own, yeah, I was made of money then. I was throwing $60 here and there for accessories for my game consoles and new games left and right because I had nothing else to spend the money on besides gas money and maybe a few bills here and now. But I'm older now. I have responsibility, more bills, more things I need to pay for. So guess what? If there's a choice between a $60 game and a $5 game, and I'm going to enjoy both of them, I'm probably going to go for the $5 game and maybe wait for that $60 game to go on sale sometime. So ultimately, are AAA titles overrated? In my personal opinion, I think so. But again, that's just my personal opinion. I would rather support an indie game and throw money at an indie game that I didn't find myself enjoying than ultimately spend $60 at a AAA title that I did enjoy. Because at least I know my money's going towards an indie developer that might just use that money to move on to bigger and better things, or make that game that game was made to help support. Did that make sense? I think it did. I'm not sure. Anyway, what do you guys think? Are you losing faith in the AAA title? Are you going the indie route as well? Or do you completely believe in AAA and will throw down $60 no problem and believe indie games are overrated instead? Yes, I know indie games get a lot more attention nowadays than they used to, but it still doesn't mean it's not any harder for these guys to get noticed, especially when there's a lot more sharks in the pond, if you know what I mean. So I'm still going to throw my support behind a new game. Even if it's one I don't enjoy, I at least know my money's going to a better source instead of, Activision. Thanks for listening to this little rant, everyone. As always, don't forget to leave your comments down below, rate, it'll help get me out there so other people can enjoy these rants, and subscribe if you haven't already. Puts a big smile on my face and lets me know that I'm doing my job. Till next time, game fans, keep playing, and thanks for watching.